Hello, hello, and welcome to This Week in AI. Slightly later than normal, in some ways we were kind of wondering whether we were going to get that curse of taping on Thursdays and stuff happening on Fridays. We've got Good Fridays, so we hopefully have caught all the news for this week. Danilo, you're over in Brazil as well, right?
I am enjoying the nicer weather and
Mm.
a little bit earlier for me. I mean, for me, it's actually the usual time. We shift to the thing, but yeah, with a long break coming up, maybe there won't be as many news for next week,
Yeah,
but you never know.
we'll see. But you're there for a conference or two, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been meeting clients this week. Next week, the XP conference, the International Extreme Programming Conference, has been moving around. First time we're going to host outside of Europe, so it's going to be in Brazil. And I am chairing one of the tracks, the industry practice track with Joshua Karyevsky. So there's some interesting talks actually about AI and like the engineering practices evolving in the new world of AI. So should be interesting one. It's going to be next week from Wednesday to Friday. So when we do our thing, I might either be in situ or before. Let's see. We haven't planned yet, but that's where I'll be.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get like a field version,
Field
where
reports.
you can, yeah, a field report from that. And yeah, I think it's one of those things. Like, it's quite funny. The like flow of agentic coding seems to be discovering all these XP principles from a while ago.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Actually, if we talk about XP, we do have a little prep where we go through our stuff. By the way, for those who are watching, please comment. Oh, awesome! Yeah, like, hi, another week. Hi, like, thanks for commenting. Like, feel free to ask us questions as well. In fact, these should be on stage. There you go. Better, they're on stage now. Your comments will be seen there. One thing I noticed, I've like only a bit through it, but this is from Kent Beck, and it's wild to me. Kent's amazing. His books have been read so much, and he's done so much of this stuff, and yet for some reason, like, he does some YouTube, but he doesn't do it very much, and he's kind of like a sleeper. And so this is test commit revert, which is basically one of his ideas of like the most extreme version of TDD,
Yeah.
where basically you create the test first, you write the code, and then like on every save you run the tests, and if the tests pass, you commit, and if they fail, you revert all your changes. So it's like hyper small iteration, and like I've used this a little bit with agents, but now it's like exciting to see like how Kent, who obviously invented the technique while he with a colleague, or a colleague invented it, and he sort of popularized it, and yeah, I'm intrigued to see how he's doing it, and like, yeah, like, he's got this skill for it, so I'm gonna have a look at it, and yeah,
I
quite
mean, it's
interesting.
really impressive and inspiring, right? Like he's still coding, experimenting with all of this. I met with him at the Future Software Retreat.
Oh,
Unfortunately, he's not coming for the XP conference. He's got other things happening, but he's the inventor of extreme programming. He wrote a book and like all of the ideas, and he's still writing code and testing out how the practice is evolving. And yeah, TCR is interesting. It's the extremist of extreme. If you save the file and the test doesn't fail, so it forces you to work in very small chunks, basically, because otherwise you might have to be rewriting a bunch of things.
yeah, but I think it's like an interesting one, like in terms of like that feedback loop. Hopefully, the tighter the feedback loop to the agent, the better it can operate with it. But I think the
Yeah,
problem he's probably going to run into is that these agents are like RL fine tuned to like do a lot rather than like a little and make it work. So
true. They might struggle to follow this kind of instructions.
yeah, it'll be fascinating to see. So
I'm
yeah,
definitely gonna watch that. I haven't watched that yet, but it's a very good see
No, like I said, I
from the
would
source.
literally, yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. There's never been a better time to go right to the primary source of these things, and you can, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, also I think these XP practices that you guys are having a conference about and that Kent's talking about, they've never been more relevant. You know, these thin slices, like feedback, quick, often, like, you know, yeah, you know, spike something out and then throw it away. Remember, you can throw it away. You know,
Yeah.
the tidy as you go, the refactoring, like all of these like habits, you know, that just aren't often used, are the sort of bits around agentic coding or just coding in general that will like stop that sort of slop apocalypse, like in my opinion. But yeah, cool. Right. Let's move on to yeah, our first of the models. So we've got a few things now, like big news from Google this week. So we've got a few from Google. So this is Gemini 3.1 Flash Live, making audio and AI more natural and reliable. So, and again, like, let's listen to the article so you can get it there. But really cool to see this stuff. And again, like, looks like it's doing really well in terms of this. Obviously, not quite at the top for big bench audio, but a meaningful improvement. And again, like those hard yards from the you get those nines. You know, you're talking like 10x more information.
Saturation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also like this is a flash model, so it's a smaller model, which is quite impressive to get like so high results. The other interesting bit on this one, I don't know if it's here, but like because it's potentially so real, like they added things around like that synth ID, so you can actually identify that audio is being generated by AI.
Nice.
Because the danger it is obviously if you can start impersonating people or like making calls and like it just sounds like someone you know or a real person, then you could get into troubling territory. So
Yeah, and actually, I've noticed that from Gemini Nano Banana as well. I spoke with someone from what's the name of the body? But anyway, there's a Linux Foundation body that has this sort of image provenance and content provenance, and like having that provenance of like this was generated here at that time with this prompt and that sort of thing, like is really useful in like forensically going and finding these bits and pieces. And yeah, so now I've noticed when I create an image in Nano Banana and upload it to LinkedIn, then like on LinkedIn, there's like a tag that's like, this is AI generated content, which is good, right? Because that's what you want. You want it to be like transparent. Like I'm not trying to hide that some of the images, I'm not a graphic designer, don't play one on the internet. Like couldn't ever be an artist in that way. So totally fine for it to be like, yeah, this is a content of something that I asked for, not like my direct contribution in art. So yeah, I'm famous, brilliant. So no, I mean, like, I think this is interesting as well because it's also this like interface piece that you sort of hear about. I think a lot of startups are using like a whisper flow and this sort of stuff where you're like actually having a conversation with the agent because you can speak way faster than you can type, even if you are an amazing typer or typist. I don't know what you can type really fast. So yeah, like quite interesting to see that, and like if that catches on with the way that we interact, you know, we'd finally get kind of those experiences that we were expecting from you know, assistants for a while. Cool. I'm rooting for Gemini more than any other company, hoping to bring my whole architecture environment to Google so I don't depend of any other company. Vertical integration. Yeah. Like Google's great. I really like Google's ecosystem. They make it really easy to get going with bits and pieces. And often have good stuff off the shelf, which is great. But yeah, we also work with this and Azure, and,
We can
and
pick
we like,
favorite choice.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Yeah, good. We actually use a lot of Google stuff ourselves, so we experience that firsthand.
Agreed. More Google news. This one's super exciting. So TurboQuant refining the efficiency with extreme compression. So again, what's the joke? To be like, this is Pied Piper.
Yeah, someone was saying Pied Piper, the Silicon Valley TV series. Like that was the product that they were trying to pitch and build. Apparently, Google has finally built it now, called TurboQuant. But what I thought was interesting here is like the compression thing, but like zero loss on accuracy, and like I forgot the number, like 20 times. Like it's a massive improvement on.
It's a classic technique though. They're just polarizing it, right?
Yeah.
Cartesian polar coordinates. So yeah, makes a lot of sense. You know what? I was actually watching a Veritasium thing on, and I was like, oh, like this would be something that could be applied to vectors, and I would be interested to see if that, I had like 1 or 2 conversations with Claude. I didn't actually do any of, they've done the actual work here, obviously, but I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. I wonder if that works. And as per usual, the researchers are miles ahead. You can see this I think it was something about like the coordinate distance you can have between just a 1% difference in the direction. You still, like, over a large volume of vectors, you still get enough variation that you get infinite possibilities, which is quite cool. But so this looks like
it's kind of like optimizing like the KV cache that like could potentially use a lot of memory, because it's what the models we use to try to find the next token, basically. Not have to load every time it gets cached. But like if you optimize at that layer and it's not impacting anything on like the overall accuracy metrics at the end, that's massive improvements. Kudos to Google again.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is basically at that intersection of retrieval and context windows, where if the context window, because effectively that attention mechanism is a search mechanism, right? Like in over the context window, and which tokens should inform the next token generation more, right? Like which should we pay attention to? It's kind of like that's getting better and better and better. So like, depending on how much better this gets, it's interesting to see, like, RAG would get pushed further back, so you would do retrieval augmented generation once this became less efficient. Again, like, interesting to see what the quality impact, because like sometimes you can generate by giving it all the information and letting it choose, even with some sort of dross in there, you may get a really good result with this kind of speed up, where you can go and look at everything very quickly and easily. But again, you have that whole, like, the data might poison it kind of situation. So there's still times where you want to manage the context, keep it smaller, and only retrieve kind of exactly what's necessary. And, very much like a tuning problem for search. But this, again, like, probably unlocks more of the sort of put more into the context and find things. And I found with Google models, that's often been a way better approach, whereas other models do better if you have fewer red herrings, whereas Google models tend to do that needle in the haystack really well.
I mean, this is one of their strengths, I guess. Like, so like they do the whole stack, but like I think Demis talks about like one of the differentiators and why he was happy to join Google family from DeepMind was they have this deep research bench, and like that's part of, like they still invest a lot, and like they're doing all of this this is like algorithmic improvements and like improving the methods and how these models get trained or inference stuff. Like all of the findings from research gets baked into the product. So like they're strong on the research side, but they're strong on like the product engineering side as well to take the scientific breakthroughs into what they do to train their models and then take the models into their products and services that we end up using as a user of Google.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Right, there isn't like I think there is a if not strong cross pollination, like there's that like end to end responsibility in some of these cases where
Yeah.
like the research is coming out of the need to make this this operation more efficient. Like, you know, there's only
Yeah,
so
because
much.
they run cloud services, they train their own models, they run their own hardware, they build their own hardware as well, like the TPUs and all of that. So they're doing research and development in the hardware space as well.
Yeah, so I think it's awesome. Like, and again, I think it kind of shows also, we talk about this, like, I definitely, I've definitely always been a proponent of going API first and just building, not working on the model because the model is so expensive to change and you don't really know what the product needs are. But it kind of shows that if the model is your product, there's still way more innovation to go here. Like the idea that like, you know, just scaling like seems to have been the narrative for 2-3 years now is like in the last 6 months, I'd say we've seen that be completely turned on its head. And, you know, more algorithmic improvements are needed, more model iterations are needed. We've shown a couple of weeks ago some real model innovations. This is another one, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see more and more of these because I think there's lots more room for these to improve. So yeah, really exciting. And yeah, like again, like this idea of it being a solved problem. Though, I mean, maybe that goes. I mean, we've got one more. So let's hop over. That would have been a lovely segue if I'd done it better. But you can. This is another very practical one from Google where you can bring your AI memories and chat history. So yeah, you can move over from like different
Other
places,
chat
other chats.
assistants. Yeah. I mean, this makes a ton of sense, right? Make it easy for
yeah,
tools.
there you go.
Easy to bring the memory over.
Okay, and so this is interesting as well. So this is not like a formal API. It's a prompt that you put into the particular thing that has presumably been tuned to get the best out of it. So will be interesting also to see like whether other model providers start to sort of gate these kind of things and they see that this is like an extraction, a data extraction to move and migrate over to a different location. And so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that ends up being something that they sort of go, hey, I don't think you want this. But yeah, so the segue that I was going to make was this data leak. Well, first of Anthropic's leaks, which has been overshadowed by the second one, which we'll cover in a minute. But that they left their CMS, I think, open on S3 somewhere, and it's a content management system which had like future blogs ready to be released, draft format, that sort of thing. And in one of them was this model called Mythos, which, you know, again, is already like exactly the kind of name that you'd give to something that you're going to leak. Like, mythically great, you know, it's a myth. But yeah, apparently it's a step change. And so, yeah, they've confirmed that, yeah, like.
Yeah, it's a more capable model beyond Opus. Quite good at like security, I think. Like that's what the posts that got taken down was claiming.
Yeah, again, if it was really that great at security, maybe maybe we wouldn't have heard about it. And again, like this is the problem with security, is that like, defense is like an infinite game. You can always be more defensive, and you can never lock everything down, because if you do, nothing happens. And so it's always a negotiation. Yeah, but so quite interesting stuff there. PDF of an incoming invite-only retreat for CEOs. So yeah, an intimate gathering for thoughtful conversation. Okay. So yeah, like quite interesting, this stuff. I think it's so 3,000 assets linked to the blog that had not been published.
I see the comments. It was a model that was supposed to fix cybersecurity and postpone the release for cybersecurity reasons. The irony.
Yeah, exactly that. It's just like, come on, guys. Like, if you find out about the cybersecurity model because of poor cybersecurity, it's not that great a cybersecurity model.
Why it's not used?
Yeah,
or it was on purpose. I mean, depends which theory you subscribe to.
I think if you do it on purpose, you don't give 3,000 drafts. And it's interesting also that like of 3,000 drafts, that only this one was like the kind of interesting one.
Fair enough.
I found their blogs to be really interesting and like quite insightful, whether it's on the like coding agent side, whether it's on the research side. I found that their writing to be really, really good. And actually, and we've seen stuff that's been published that clients have gone and implemented, right? Like, so, it's not just that it's interesting and it's like pragmatically useful for our clients that like to read that research and then implement it themselves. So yeah, very cool. And then the second
they had another worse leak.
Yeah, and this is also not the first time they've leaked Claude Code's code. Like the irony of this is that the company they acquired, who does TypeScript, JavaScript tooling called Bun, like are sort of to some degree potentially responsible for this, where their tooling has an option to like release without source maps that wasn't used for some reason or another for one release. And yeah, again, this was this was on on April Fool's Day, but very much not an April Fool's.
No.
Yeah, quite interesting.
And like this one caused a bunch of stir because people are like looking through the code, found a bunch of hidden features behind feature flags that like are not released yet, and someone hacked their buddy system. That was their actual April Fool's joke that we were joking around yesterday. Things about someone went straight into like, what are the verbs, like when the model is thinking, and they're like, oh, I found there's a list of, I don't know, 190 verbs that Claude will pick to when it's like tinkering or combobulating, whatever. But yeah, this one is big because they didn't want to open source this on purpose, and like there's a lot of IP, I guess, but like Claude Code has been one of the best coding agents so far. So I'm pretty sure like they didn't want to leak anything like this in terms of giving away the secrets for stuff that how it works, but also some upcoming stuff that's not even released officially yet.
Yeah. And so yeah, they looks like they use Sentry for some of the error reporting. But the thing that I found interesting, skill search, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, there was this dream feature that's not officially released.
Auto dream, yeah. spawns a background subagent that searches through all JSON-L sessions, transcribes to consolidate memories, which is, again, it's like this idea of memory. I actually saw a great joke about this on LinkedIn for April Fools. Let's see if I can find it, because it was hilarious. I can't remember the name. It's like, but I'll come back to that in a second. But yeah, so I think the interesting thing for this stuff is just like they actually use like really really low level like primitives to like find errors in the in the transcripts. So they just have like regexes for like, this is terrible, like this is crap, this is shit, that sort of stuff. Like which I think is hilarious, but also like totally makes sense. Like, you don't want that stuff to be, it's very easy for that to be done in that deterministic way. Like, why would you not want those flagged in a deterministic way? Because it's just a long list. That and the list of thinking words that it has was also just like an enum. So yeah, like, again, kind of makes sense. Not necessarily like I suppose what you would call like pure programming or like beautiful kind of things, but like
hard coding stuff is always being looked in a bad way. But hey, you
Oh, are you back?
Oh, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My microphone disconnected for a second.
All good. I almost found this as well. So yeah. So yeah, Vasily. And yeah, so here it was. I love this. This is his April Fools, but accidentally exposed 500,000 lines. Looks for a surprise. Comment threads. There was a small to do. Figure out how Cogni maintains graph coherence across sessions. So he made like an April Fool's like note edition.
Screenshot. Yeah, riding on the wave.
I genuinely thought it was real for a second as well. I was just like, oh god, April Fool's gets me again.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, again, it's this idea of like, you going back to this leak. It's like the dream. Again, it's just sending stuff to memory, and like memory can't be queried in memory in a markdown file. So you can grep, but that's about it. It's like free text search. You can't do any like links between different things and have any more sophisticated indexing. Yeah. I don't know why they are like obsessed with just markdown. Maybe it's a useful one thing. When I've been working with Claude, like there's this concept of like local first software, and they're very much following that local first software. So you can get loads of information about your Claude code that's stored in your .claude, in your just like root directory. And you just go through there, and there's like a bunch of session history and stuff like that, which is really interesting as a user. Again, so when it's talking, okay, cool. That was what I was supposed to show first. Exposes their source code by accident, and then this was the one that had the like different bits that it's
things that people found.
Yeah. So auto memory, simple like Unix socket, like so what could Claude do in a classified environment? Like ensure inference transit flows via Bedrock, GovCloud, or Google AI. block data gathering endpoints with a firewall, system prompt fingerprinting, automatic updates, disable auto dream. Okay, so they've got like some like remote access for some of these bits and pieces, which is essentially feature flagging, right?
And like be able to run in air gapped environments, I guess, which you might need for some.
Yeah, but yeah, like I thought it was sort of quite interesting. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I mean,
So
I like that people were speaking of April Fool's joke. Like they had the hatching of your buddy thing. They added that buddy command. They will hatch some assisted in Claude code, and like apparently it was sampled from something. So like you might get like common, uncommon, there's legendary, whatever, different types of friends. You'll give it a name, and it will be sitting there next to your Claude code session. And then people went on and like, yeah, someone built a repo that explains how it works, and they hacked it, so you can get the legendary cat or something like that.
Yeah, like I also had an uncommon, so I didn't feel too bad that we both.
I got uncommon penguin as well. Didn't get the legendary.
But I was like, yeah, how do I get a shiny Charizard? What's going on? Like, yeah. Like I want to gamify it. Like, can I get my? How do I do that? And what does that mean? Does that mean I'm like, like, is there some sort of global leaderboard? And we're only
at the top.
Well, that's bullshit.
Not even rare.
Yeah, come on, Claude, sort it out. Cool. Still on models. GLM 5.1. So like ZAI. So this is only available via API at the moment. Apparently, potentially, open weights again. I mean, obviously the last couple have been open weights as well. But yeah, the next 4 or 5 days, this will be open weights. So yeah, you can see this is huge. And like, it's kind of crazy to think about, like, this is like performance approaching Claude Opus 4.6, which, by the way, most of the time, I don't know about you, most of the time I'm using Sonnet anyway, or Sonnet. So not even that, like.
Yeah, me too. I use Opus when it's like planning, but you don't even use planning. You just go straight. But yeah, Sonnet 4.6 is fine as well for coding, and it's cheaper.
Yeah, and so you're just like, okay, cool. Like this is pretty insane that, again, like this could be open model weight. You could then run that, completely internally. We speak to some clients, they have sovereignty issues. They want to make sure that they keep their data in the right place. And like, this is like, if you've got like effectively frontier models, that you can self-host, and like, are you, like that 2% is going to make a difference, but like, it's night and day from where GLM5 was. And it's like, actually, these models have been effective. Like Claude, I think, maybe it was 4.5 last year that was the big difference. But like, this is compared to 4.5. This is compared to 4.6 and Opus, not Sonnet. So you're like, this is probably better than 4.5 Sonnet was, easily. I don't know what the benchmark is, but like Claude 4.6, I think, was a step up. Though interestingly, I was watching a talk from Simon Colvin on their new sandbox code execution, Monty. He was talking.
Pydantic folks, right?
Yeah. So they're releasing a bunch of stuff on their YouTube at the moment, which is, again, like, if I'm honest, like chronically under subscribed. So definitely go and have a look. So this one, so they have their PyAI conf, which I wasn't invited to, which is pretty rude. But I mean, look, only 600 views, and I think this is a pretty interesting one. So he was saying that actually 4.5 is better than 4.6 because the RL fine-tuning has been much more strongly around Claude Code. And it kind of points to this like tight coupling of model training and harness. or agent. And so like it's interesting that like your proprietary models, so Claude Code might get better and better and better, but Claude API outside of Claude Code, because it assumes it's within Claude Code, might actually degrade its experience. And you know this, right? You know, you wrote the whole like Martin Fowler article on CD for ML. But it's like if you're trying to optimize one area, you can overfit to that very easily. And
it starts drifting, performing worse in other tasks.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to universally increase in every direction. Like it's possible.
I mean, that's why like they have different versions of like the Codex model for coding, or like they might. Anthropic doesn't split their models like that yet, but like some of the other ones, the either open source ones or like OpenAI, you have the model and then the model codex for coding.
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to have that. I think you have to have that separation if you want that. But then there's a question of like what works, what doesn't. There's another talk from the same. So it's only not even 1,000 subscribers yet. Definitely subscribe to this. There's some really good information here. But yeah, Armin Wonka, and he's talking about how to make agents reliable across multiple models and multiple model families. You know, and it's quite interesting in terms of like, you know, the understanding that RL, what it's trained on. And yeah, you don't want to use stuff that's like underrepresented in the data set. So if you've got some weird DSL versus SQL, you know, SQL is going to appear in the training data set
way more,
10x, 1,000x more, 100,000x more. And so, you know, you want to be looking at like, I was hoping I'd find the bit where the slide, but anyway,
let's give that as homework. People should go and watch it and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Really boring for us to just watch that. Let's keep going. You're right to moving forward. Right. Another one. It feels like yesterday we talked about it, but another raise by OpenAI, and it's a monster. It's
122 billion.
It doesn't really make sense in terms of like it's basically almost $1 trillion company post money valuation. And I feel like we only had the first $1 trillion company like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Tesla, I think, was the first one that arrived, but now it's like 4 or 5, right? Like Nvidia is 400 something trillion market cap. They are the biggest one now.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not tracking as much the markets, but yeah, that's my probably potentially outdated.
Apple was the first in 2018.
Oh, Apple was first.
But that's what I mean. Like, okay. It's like 7 years ago, OpenAI was barely around. Nothing. Like I think like may literally have been like an idea at that point in 2018. I need to know our history.
But yeah, who was leading this round, or who were the investors? I'm sure like Amazon was one of them.
Yes, so it was, but it was led by SoftBank.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Anchored by our strategic partners, Amazon, Nvidia, and SoftBank, and with continued participation from our long-term partner, Microsoft. So, SoftBank co-led the round, like with Andreessen Horowitz, D.E. Shaw, MGS. Yeah, I mean, that's not. You can't co-lead the round with like 12 venture capitalists. Kind of wild to have that many like leaders, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, because all of the labs, and I mean, like, wasn't XAI just announced they're gonna go for IPO very soon as well? They're all trying to rush to IPO this year. Anthropic, OpenAI, it's not a secret, I think. So having access to funding before, so you get like equity before it goes public. All of the investors, private equity, like all of the
Yeah.
funds, they're gonna want to try to get a piece of that before. I mean, the theory is that it's gonna go to the moon, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
uh,
You know, again, like investment advice, past gains are not,
oh no, 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 yeah, we don't
and
do
all
that
that.
here.
But I mean, look, this is institutional investors, right? BlackRock and Blackstone, Fidelity, yeah, these are, potentially,
Yeah, and they
they,
say they raised 3 billion from individual investors. Or look, the next paragraph, they extended
oh
participation
wow,
through banks. So, and they're gonna be included in this ARK Invest fund. ARK is uh, one of the large tech focus, like of
yeah.
innovation focused funds.
So yeah, pretty wild. Like, I think it's interesting, and yeah, again, they're talking about like this is leadership across consumer and enterprise. Of course, like Anthropic have had a massive step ahead of them on enterprise, but they're still like the massive lead in consumer.
Yeah,
Again, another interesting podcast from the All In chaps around that, like, and looking at the absolutes. And they called out the different ways in which they recognize revenue. As Anthropic is looking at like revenue, OpenAI is more looking at like revenue to them rather than like revenue to AWS, right? Which they'll of course take a large bit of the cut, having the actual inference and whatnot.
right.
So yeah, like super interesting in terms of that. That even with that massive strides that Anthropic's making, OpenAI still like with a huge volume of revenue. So yeah, I don't like it's such an unfathomable number of money. I don't really know what it means, but yeah, like you said, that rush to just raise and IPO, pretty interesting.
Yeah, there was one more. I think. Yeah, I was gonna ask the Apple one
Yep.
in terms of news from the big tech before some other interesting bits that you and I have been exchanging information about. But it was from Apple. I mean, they've been kind of behind, I guess, on the AI wave and themselves, but like they just announced they will open up Siri for other assistants. So I know they had that deal with ChatGPT, I guess, and they're talking about using Gemini models for them. But like the idea of they will allow some kind of plugin swapping for the which assistant people will use with their Siri, then it opens up a bit more for competition. And they said that it's probably coming up in the next iOS update.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? And like, yeah, I guess like subtext is they're going to push people to subscribe via the what you call it, the Apple Store, and take 30%.
Yeah.
And that's like probably, yeah, probably a very convenient way for lots of people to do this. It like, again, the big question is it going to stay as the point of integration, right? Because that's what they've got right now. And again, it's more in America than elsewhere, where Android is larger. But in the US, iOS is dominant. I like, funny story. Like, I literally I'd moved to Android, but like it was like part of like when I was marrying my wife, she was like, right, to be in the family group chat, you can't have that green check mark. You need or blue check mark. I can't remember which way around it is. You have to have an iPhone, and it was just like, that's so wild. Like, it's like peer pressure to like not have. I was like, this phone is like objectively better, like from a phone like camera point of view. Like,
Specs.
and now I feel like Apple cameras have got better, so it's maybe like a little bit more even. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a Chinese phone. I can't remember, like not Xiaomi, the other one. And
Huawei?
I was Huawei, yeah, and it was just like, yeah, I was like, right, equal opportunities. I want both superpowers to have my data. Yeah. But no, this is awesome. I think like interesting to see how it plays out. Again, Johnny Ive went to OpenAI a year ago.
Yeah, I mean they go up or they made a deal, right, with Sam Altman for
Yeah, so I want to see
IO.
what happens there.
Yet to be released hardware device that will bring AI to outside of phones. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
But
I
like
can
Apple's coming up, like WWDC is coming up, right? Is their big developer conference where they make announcements for things like this. So I think this is probably drumming up some things that will lead up to WWDC.
Yeah.
Likewise, Google with Google Next coming up, and then like Google I/O shortly after. So a lot of new stuff I would expect within a few weeks. We're gonna have lots of news from Google when Google Next comes to town.
Yeah, we already had 3 new articles today from Google. Like, not
Yeah,
even.
and last week we rushed a few at the end as well, where they had a bunch of releases as well. So
Yeah, I think we are kind of starting to see that increased pace of delivery from these things, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, now onto some maybe a bit more random stuff, but like this agentic text to SQL benchmark, like super interesting. DuckDB WASM, so in your browser, and yeah, like this is pretty cool. So like this will just run locally on my computer, but against all of these different models, and yeah, you can kind of see like some really interesting like data, pass fail errors for different models. Here's the big one, and yeah, you can see timings and all of the evaluations. This is Grok 4.1 fast, Claude 4.6 Sonnet, and all the way down to like errors for I don't even know what RWKV is, Quen 3.5 grammar thinking. Yeah, so like quite interesting. I mean, look, like you can see these at the top. They're getting almost no like errors. There's Kimi K2, so Kimi K2 2.5, an error and a fail, but apart from that, that's open weights model. Quen 3.5 27 billion, again open weights model. You can see this difference. It's not that much. It's kind of wild. Oh, GLM5 turbo.
Oh,
so
there
this
you
is
go.
5.1, and it's number 2 after only like Grok 4.1 fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, interestingly, it looks like you get less of a penalty for failing a medium than you do for failing a hard. I'd have thought it would be more acceptable to fail a hard than to fail a medium. But hey ho. Again, these are all subjective things. And you look at timings. I think this is the thing for like 186 versus 405 seconds. That's a long time, even for a fast model especially. But yeah, there you go. Quen 3.5 27 billion. It's an amazing model. I completely agree. I have this on my MacBook Pro at home, and I've got it through Tailscale, and so yeah, like
okay,
it's fast and
good.
pretty good. Like it's so like it's really good. Like I need to do more with it, honestly. Like I've just kind of got it there and it works, and I just chat to it. But then like the problem is, of course, is I have all of these services, so it's like 95% as good as them, but like I'm paying for 100%, so I might use it. Yeah, I need that. I need something that just sends it to all 4 services that I'm using, including the local, and then like just triages and gets me the best.
Nice.
That would be interesting. This was an interesting paper. So again, I think a lot of the time we spend like anthropomorphizing agents and giving them roles and personalities and stuff like that. And this is like a 25,000 task experiment with a bunch of different configurations, agents, LLMs, that sort of stuff. And yeah, I like basically they evaluated them over a bunch of different vectors. But the main thing that they found was for very competent models, the harness held them back more often than it didn't. So if you're using a frontier model, like it's unlikely that you're like if you've got anything of like moderate to hard complexity, it's unlikely that you'll do better than the model training frontier lab, right? Because if you're using it for something that they've already done, they've probably done a lot of more work than you've done if you're just starting now.
Right.
For a poor model, you're going to have it's the other way around. You need a lot of harness, you need a lot of pointing, a lot of this stuff to make sure it's going in the right direction. And if you think about where all of our agentic frameworks have come from, a lot of them have come from that reality because they got started a few years ago.
Yeah, the models weren't as capable.
Yeah, and you had to have these graphs of execution and like really constrain them. And I think as the models are getting more and more capable, and like I said, we talked about Quen, local model, super capable. Again, I've just wrapped that with a very simple like agent myself, kind of like my own. I wouldn't say open claw. It's nowhere near as capable, but I don't want it to be as capable. Fine, yeah, like it works great. Like and I think it's quite interesting to sort of see this. So we can't cover too much of this paper, but it's a really interesting one. Drop the hierarchy and roles, how self-organizing LLM agents outperform design structures. Interestingly, this is kind of what Crew AI was thinking at the beginning. And one of the reasons Crew AI didn't get as popular as LangGraph or LangChain was because this kind of like model communication was super inefficient and not very effective. Whereas maybe that's a model worth revisiting. So it's interesting how that sort of maybe was ahead of its time in some ways.
Yeah. And I mean, this theme is recurring as well. Like if you look at the MemGPT paper from a few years ago as well, like they were looking at, rather than trying to design memory systems where you explicitly say, like they found that allow the agent to basically design its own memory when it needs to store or retrieve things. So it's a similar thing, I guess, right? Like it's design structure, in this case, like design the memory. Let the model, the LLM manage their own memory.
Yeah, I mean, it's I keep thinking to some degree it's the like a slightly different version of the what do you call it, truth, where like something simple with more compute will outcompete something complex. What's it called? Like the uncomfortable truth.
There's a name for this.
Yeah. No. Oh wow. No, this is
There's definitely a book about it.
Yeah, definitely not that though. I'm not going to find it now.
That's fine. I get the sentiment.
Yeah, it's a shame they do a really good. It's a really good like idea of just like the more that you. I mean, essentially, right? If you're thinking about enumerating the space of possible interactions in a coding agent and like turning it into a tree, it's an infinite space.
Yeah.
Right. So by using that approach, you are going to be you're going to find things that you can't think of, and you're going to hold yourself back. So, yeah, I think it's more around like trying to work out what that looks like and building these agents that have that and using good models. Cool. Another one that we found, our colleague Darshan shared this with us. So yeah, from Tate Bannerman. Yeah, how many products does Microsoft have named Copilot? And like the funny thing is, I think Danilo, we were saying he's missed one, which is hilarious.
I mean, when you shared this, I was like, okay, where would Copilot co-work fit? And I couldn't find that.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of them here in this chart.
I mean, Copilot in Notepad.
Yeah.
In Photos, Copilot Fire Explorer.
There's all the like GitHub Copilot as well, like the developer stuff.
Yeah, Microsoft 365 Copilot in Viva Pulse, Viva Learning, Viva Goals, Glint. I don't even know what these things are. Yeah, I like this. It like kind of hits that perfect combination of like useful, funny, and beautifully visualized.
Yes.
Which is always pleasing to like. Yeah, so yeah, GitHub Copilot coding agent, GitHub Copilot chat, GitHub Copilot with Copilot Pro, Pro Plus, CLI, Spaces, Student.
What
GitHub
happens when you
Copilot-
name everything Copilot?
GitHub Copilot in GitHub Desktop and GitHub Copilot in GitHub Mobile. It's like, wow, this is a lot. So yeah, I thought
How many
that was
Copilots do you need?
very- Yeah, like at least one more, right?
It's like
You know?
one every two, basically, and maybe
Yeah,
a few more.
I've been and naming things is hard, right? I've been complacent in sort of highlighting some of these things.
Yeah, that's true. But like, I'm sure they have different pricing structures as well, and it's like you have to pay different license to use. Like, you can use this one, but not that one.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's like it's Copilot plus PCs. Wait, wow! I didn't realize they even had that. But yeah, okay, cool. Flourish. What's this? Okay, interesting. Always intrigued to see another a good BI tool.
Data visualization.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, it's probably not BI, more data viz. Yeah. So yeah,
Very cool.
Very cool stuff. Right, we actually made it through all the content. That's wild.
We did. We covered the Kent spec session already.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
well-
more things that happened that we didn't highlight.
Yeah.
Another
So if
week,
anyone in the comments-
another bunch of topics as usual.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, next week, we'll let you know what time. It might be the same time again. And yeah, like you said at the top, hopefully there will be a sort of live from the XP conference, and we'll get like some of the things going on the ground there, some of the talks, some of the takeaways. But yeah, failing that, if you're not available, we'll probably collar someone else in our team to jump in.
Yeah, we're building out a roster now.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
Yeah, it's great. We've got some really talented colleagues as well. So
For sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, and catch up next week.
Enjoy the holiday break for those that have a break and celebrate.
Yeah, exactly. Happy Easter if you celebrate it.
I'll catch you
All right.
next week
Ciao
then.
for
See
now.
you.
Bye.
Bye.